Welcome, gentle dreamers, to Sleepy Throne's tales. Here, the night carries you softly into the embrace of history. Tonight, we wander into the secrets of Machu Picchu, a calming journey through an ancient city above the clouds, high in the Andes. Mountains where mist drifts like silver veils across jagged peaks, there lies a hidden world. The traveler walks slowly upon a narrow trail, feeling the hush of the mountain air. Each step brings them closer to a place once sacred, now timeless, where stone and silence live together in harmony. The rising sun stretches across the ridges, painting the peaks in strokes of pale gold. Shadows linger, long and soft, upon the terraces carved into the mountain's skin. Far below, the Urubamba river winds, in secret, unseen but ever present, its voice muted beneath the drifting clouds. The world seems far away here, as though the mountain itself floats between earth and sky. The traveler pauses before them, revealed through a break in the mist, rests the first glimpse of Machu Picchu. Its walls stand patient, their stones fitted, with such care that no blade could slip between them. Terraces descend gracefully, carved with balance and purpose, carrying the memory of harvests long ago. The city waits, cradled in silence, untouched by time. Birdsong rises gently from the branches nearby, carried by the thin mountain breeze. The sound is not loud, not hurried, but slow, soft, and steady, like a lullaby spun from the breath of nature. The air smells of grass, stone, and earth warmed by sunlight. It is a scent of stillness, the fragrance of beginnings. The traveler closes their eyes, hearing more than seeing. The wind seems to whisper, carrying the voices of the past, whispers of builders who shaped the stones, whispers of priests who watched the stars, whispers of a people who lived in harmony with sky and soil. The city speaks not in words, but in silence, in a language that the heart remembers. The clouds shift again, parting wider now. Machu Picchu stretches further into view, its temples, its stairways, its plazas of stone. Yet it does not reveal itself all at once. It offers only fragments, like pieces of a dream remembered in sleep. The traveler knows the journey is only beginning, that the city will share its secrets slowly, one breath at a time. A calmness settles. In the stillness of the mountain, where time itself seems to rest, the traveler breathes deeply and steps forward. The story has begun, and the city in the clouds waits to be explored. The traveler moves slowly, each step measured, as the path winds higher through the ancient ridges. Around them, the Andes stretch endlessly, peaks upon peaks, their crowns kissed by the first touch of light. The mountains seem alive, breathing in silence, watching with timeless eyes as the morning unfolds. Shadows dissolve as the sun rises further, spilling soft streams of gold across the slopes. Mist curls and sways, wrapping itself around the ridges like flowing silk. The air is cool and thin, yet filled with a clarity that sharpens every sound: the distant call of a bird, the whisper of the breeze, the steady rhythm of footsteps upon stone. The traveler pauses to look back. Far below, the valley lies hidden beneath a sea of white clouds. It feels as though the world beneath has vanished, leaving only this path, the mountains, and the sky. Here, the earth feels closer to the heavens, and the silence carries a weight that is not heavy but soothing. Terraces carved into the steep slopes catch the morning light, their green steps glowing faintly against the rock. They rise in quiet harmony, each stone fitted with care, each level built with patience, as though the mountains themselves were shaped into gardens. The traveler imagines the hands that once worked here steady, skillful, guided by a devotion to the land and its gods. Farther along the trail, a hawk drifts in wide circles above. Its wings cut through the thin air without sound, gliding effortlessly on unseen currents. For a moment, it hovers, then vanishes into the mist. The traveler watches quietly, sensing the bird as a guardian of the heights, a silent witness to all that has passed and all that still remains. The path narrows, hugging the mountainside. Beneath it, the drop is steep, yet the traveler feels no fear. The stones are firm, placed with care centuries ago, and the mountain holds them steady. Each step is slow, deliberate, as though the journey itself is an offering of patience. The sun now rises fully, bathing the peaks in light. Snow still lingers on the highest summits, gleaming like silver crowns. The clouds shift below, breaking apart to reveal glimpses of rivers and valleys far beneath. The traveler stands still, watching the transformation. What was once hidden is revealed, yet what lies ahead remains shrouded in mist. Breathing deeply, the traveler feels the calmness of the mountains seep into their chest. Every sound is softened, every detail stretched into slowness. Time itself seems to move differently here, not forward, not backward, but like a gentle circle that folds endlessly into itself. The Andes at dawn are not merely a landscape. They are a presence, a living silence, vast and eternal. The traveler continues onward, guided not by haste, but by the rhythm of the mountains themselves. The path bends downward for a while, opening into a wide view of the sacred valley. Here the traveler pauses, standing at the edge of a ridge where the world stretches out in a soft expanse. The valley lies beneath a drifting sea of mist, cradled between towering slopes that seem carved by the hands of gods. The Urubamba River winds far below, its surface gleaming faintly like a silver thread. Its song is distant, muffled by clouds, but steady, an eternal murmur flowing through the heart of the land. The traveler closes their eyes, listening. The sound carries both strength and gentleness, as though the river is the valley's own. Heartbeat. Terraces descend from the cliffs, their green layers stacked gracefully like steps into the earth. Once they were gardens, nourished by the river's waters, feeding a people who knew how to live in balance with mountain and sky. Now they are silent, yet they hold their shape with pride, whispering of devotion, patience, and care. In the valley's embrace, scattered stones hint at villages long gone. The traveler imagines their warmth, children's laughter, fires glowing in clay hearths, voices rising in the language of the Incas. Though the houses are gone, their memory lingers, woven into the soil, carried in the air, drifting through the mist like a soft, unbroken song. A gentle breeze sweeps through, carrying the scent of earth warmed by the sun. It brushes against the traveler's face, cool and light, as if the valley itself breathes. Llamas appear in the distance, moving slowly along the terraces, their soft coats blending with the land. They graze calmly, unbothered by time, as though they too are guardians of these sacred heights. The mountains rise sharply on either side, their slopes wrapped in shifting veils of cloud. Peaks pierce the sky, their summits crowned with light. They stand not as barriers, but as keepers, their presence both protective and eternal. The valley feels like a sanctuary, hidden away from the world beyond. The traveler sits upon a stone, resting quietly. The silence is not empty, but filled with presence, the river, the wind, the faint cry of a bird, the quiet breath of the land. In this stillness, it is easy to believe the valley holds secrets not meant to be spoken, but felt gently, like a dream that lingers long after waking. The sacred valley does not hurry. It invites stillness, offering its calm as a gift. The traveler rises slowly, steps measured, and continues the journey upward, carrying the valley's whispers with them as they ascend again toward the hidden city. The climb grows steeper now, the path winding tightly around the shoulder of the mountain. The traveler moves carefully, each footstep pressed into stones, smoothed by centuries of passage. The air is thin, yet crisp and clear, carrying a stillness that feels as though the world itself is holding its breath. For a time, the trail is enclosed by mist. The traveler sees only the stone beneath their feet and the faint outlines of the ridge ahead. The silence deepens, broken only by the steady rhythm of footsteps. Then, as if in answer to patience, the veil begins to lift. The clouds part slowly, curling away like curtains drawn back, and the city above the world reveals itself. Machu Picchu rises in quiet majesty from the mountainside. Terraces step downward in perfect rhythm, each level balanced as though the earth itself had shaped them. Beyond, walls and stairways appear, woven into the mountains, skin with seamless care. Temples catch the sunlight, their stone faces glowing softly, while plazas rest in gentle stillness. The traveler stops, breath caught not from the climb, but from the sight itself. The city does not seem built, but born, emerging from the very rock of the Andes. It clings to the ridge, yet feels weightless, as though it floats between earth and sky. The mist lingers around its edges, making it appear more like a dream than a place of stone. From this distance, the city is silent, yet alive. The traveler imagines voices carried on the wind chants, rising in temples, footsteps upon the plazas, laughter drifting from the terraces. Though the people are gone, their presence remains, folded into every stone, carried in every breath of mountain air. The sun climbs higher, casting light across the peaks. Shadows stretch and shift, tracing lines across the terraces, drawing patterns that change with each passing moment. The mountains encircle the city, immense and eternal, guardians of its silence. Above them all rises Machu Picchu, sharp and proud, like a watchtower for the heavens. The traveler stands for a long while, simply watching. The sight asks for no words, no hasty stillness. It is as if the city itself wishes to be seen, slowly, to reveal its face in fragments. As one uncovers the layers of a dream, when at last the traveler moves again, it is with quiet reverence. The city waits ahead, its secrets guarded yet welcoming. The path continues, drawing them nearer with every step. The path bends once more, narrowing into a steady rise, carved into the mountain's side. This ancient trail, worn by countless footsteps, long ago, leads directly toward the gates of Machu Picchu. It is known as the Royal Road, for it once carried nobles, priests, and messengers into the hidden sanctuary of the Inca. The traveler steps slowly, the stones beneath their feet fitted with precision that has endured centuries. Each block rests seamlessly against the next, as though shaped not by human hands, but by the mountain itself. Moss grows softly along the edges, weaving green threads into the gray, reminding that nature and stone have always shared this path. On either side, the land falls away into steep cliffs. The air is cool and bright, filled with drifting mist that reveals glimpses of the valley below. At times, the trail feels suspended in the sky, a ribbon of stone laid between earth and heaven. To walk here is to feel both small and eternal, carried forward by silence. The traveler imagines the ones who once walked this same road, processions of the Inca elite, their garments woven in brilliant colors, moving with dignity toward the sacred city. Priests carrying offerings, their eyes turned upward to the sun. Runners, swift and tireless, bearing messages across the empire, their footsteps falling with practiced rhythm. The stones remember them all, each echo folded into their surface. Ahead, the path widens briefly at a lookout point. The traveler pauses there, gazing across the terraces that cling to the mountainside. The city grows clearer, now walls rising in careful lines, stairways winding upward, temples catching the sun. The sound of the river drifts faintly from below, mingling with the breath of the wind. A soft hush lingers in the air. It is not silence alone, but a presence, as though the road itself holds reverence for what lies ahead. The traveler breathes, deeply feeling the calm seep into their chest. Each step forward feels less like movement and more like entering a state of stillness, a gentle surrender to time. The trail turns once more, guiding onward. Stones glisten faintly with dew, catching the light like scattered gems. Small flowers bloom at the path's edge, their colors quiet yet bright against the gray. They seem like offerings left by nature, gifts to those who pass in patience. The city draws nearer now, though it remains partly hidden in the shifting mist. Its presence fills the air. The traveler walks on the royal road, carrying them gently forward toward gates that have stood in watchful silence for centuries. The path rises steadily, winding toward a stone arch that crowns the ridge. This is the Inti Punku, the gate of the sun, once the grand entrance to Machu Picchu. For the Incas, it was more than a passageway, it was a place of reverence, where light itself met the stones in harmony. The traveler approaches slowly, breath steady, eyes drawn to the shape of the gateway, standing tall against the sky. Two upright walls frame an opening, simple yet powerful, built with the same precision that defines every Inca stone. There is no ornament, no carving, only strength and balance, as if the stones themselves were a prayer to the sun. The air shifts, here touched by warmth as the first full rays of daylight pass through the arch. The traveler stands still, watching golden light stream directly across the threshold, illuminating the trail in front of them. Once, on sacred days, this light aligned perfectly, marking moments of ceremony and time. The Incas had built not only with stone, but with sky and star, weaving earth into the rhythms of the heavens. Stepping closer, the traveler feels a hush deepen within. Passing through this gate is more than entering a city, it is stepping into another rhythm of existence. The stones feel alive, their silence not empty but filled with centuries of watching. The air carries a stillness that softens the heart, as though time itself slows at the threshold. Beyond the gate, the view opens wide. The city of Machu Picchu stretches out below, its terraces and temples resting in quiet dignity. The traveler sees it now from above, as countless pilgrims once did. The mist swirls gently, parting to reveal plazas, stairways, and the spine of Machu Picchu rising proudly behind. The traveler pauses at the gate, breathing deeply. The moment feels suspended, neither past nor present, but eternal. For the Incas, this was a sacred arrival. For the traveler, it is a soft crossing into stillness, a gentle step into the embrace of the ancient city. Lingering for a while, they touch the stone, feeling its coolness beneath their fingers. The surface is smooth, as though shaped by time as much as by hands. The stone does not speak, yet it carries a weight of memory, holding the echoes of all who once passed through. At last, the traveler steps beyond. The gate of the sun remains. Behind, a quiet sentinel of light and time. Ahead, the city calls more clearly now, each terrace and temple waiting in silence, ready to reveal its secrets, one by one. The traveler steps beyond the gate of the sun, descending gently along the stone path that leads into Machu Picchu. With each step, the city grows closer, its details sharpening through the thinning veil of mist. The terraces spread wide like open arms, their green steps glowing softly in the light. Ahead, walls rise in careful lines, a harmony of stone and silence. Crossing into the city feels less like entering a place and more like stepping into a living memory. The stones seem to breathe, their presence calm but watchful, as though they have been waiting for countless ages to welcome each traveler who arrives with patience. The air carries a quiet weight, not heavy, but soothing an embrace of stillness. The traveler moves slowly, passing the first of the terraces. Each level is bordered by walls fitted with such care that they appear seamless, the joints invisible, the stones resting as if grown together. The grass upon them sways gently in the breeze, softening the hard lines of the stone, blending earth and sky. A narrow stairway rises ahead, its steps worn smooth with time. The traveler ascends carefully, hands brushing the edges of the stones. At the top, the view opens into a small courtyard bordered by walls. Here, silence gathers more deeply, as though the city wishes to quiet every thought. Birds circle overhead, their shadows passing briefly across the stones. The sound of their wings echoes faintly, a soft rhythm that fades quickly into the still air. In the distance, llamas wander between the terraces, moving slowly, grazing without hurry, their presence adding to the calm. The traveler pauses, placing a hand upon one of the walls. The stone is cool beneath the touch, yet it radiates a subtle strength, as though the memory of its builders still lingers within. Each block was shaped without mortar, set with precision that endures centuries. The wall holds not just stone, but patience, devotion, and silence itself. Moving deeper into the city, the traveler senses layers of purpose within its design. Pathways lead carefully from one space to another, never hurried, always balanced. Every stair, every wall, every terrace seems to belong not only to the mountain, but to the sky and stars above. Machu Picchu is not merely built upon the land, it is woven into it. The traveler breathes deeply, feeling the stillness spread within. The city is not loud in its grandeur, nor demanding in its presence. It is quiet, humble, and eternal, a sanctuary, where time slows to a gentle rhythm. In its silence, it offers not answers, but rest. The journey through the city has begun. The traveler walks slowly along a winding path, stepping between terraces and stairways until the city opens wide into a great clearing. Here lies the Royal Plaza, the central heart of Machu Picchu. Broad and open, the space stretches between the sacred and the domestic, where life once gathered in quiet balance. The grass underfoot is soft and steady, covering the ground like a woven carpet. Edges of stone walls frame the plaza, their lines, precise and strong, guiding the eye toward the spaces beyond. Around it rise the shapes of temples, halls, and terraces, each arranged with intention, each belonging not only to the city, but to the sky above. The traveler pauses in the center, feeling the stillness gather. The air here is wider, open, and light, filled with the breath of the mountains. Once, this plaza would have been alive with the footsteps of nobles, priests, and attendants. Ceremonies may have been held beneath the sun, gatherings shaped by ritual and reverence. Now it rests in silence, yet the echo of presence lingers, soft but unbroken. A gentle wind sweeps across, carrying the scent of grass, warmed by the sun. It brushes the traveler's face, whispering through the stones. In the distance, a llama crosses the plaza slowly, its hooves light upon the earth. Its quiet presence feels like a thread connecting past to present, as though it carries the memory of centuries with each step. The mountains rise beyond the plaza, their slopes wrapped in drifting mist. They stand as walls greater than any built by hands, enclosing the city in their watchful embrace. The traveler tilts their head upward, following the line of Machu Picchu as it towers above, sharp and proud, a guardian watching endlessly over the city. The stones beneath the traveler's feet radiate a gentle warmth, holding the memory of the sun. They imagine voices, hear chants, rising in rhythm, songs carried by the wind, children's laughter dancing across the grass. Though no sound remains, the sense of life lingers in the silence, soft and enduring. The plaza is not grand in scale, nor overwhelming in design. Its beauty lies in stillness, in the balance between open space and surrounding stone. It is a breath within the city, a place where footsteps slow, where hearts pause to rest. The traveler stands quietly for a long while, absorbing the calm. In the hush of the royal plaza, the weight of time does not press, but eases, smoothing the mind into stillness. Here the journey deepens, carried gently forward into the heart of Machu Picchu's secrets. Beyond the royal plaza, the traveler follows a narrow stairway, each step worn smooth with age. The path curves gently, guiding them toward one of the city's most revered places, the Temple of the Sun. Here, stone and light meet in harmony, where the Incas once offered prayers to the heavens. The temple rises upon a rounded platform, its walls curving gracefully, unlike the straight lines that shape much of the city. The traveler approaches slowly, hands brushing the smooth surface of the stones. Each block fits seamlessly into the next, polished with care, as though the builders sought perfection in every curve. Above, a small window faces the sky. Through it, the sun's rays fall with precision, striking the stones at certain times of the year. On solstices and sacred days, the light aligned perfectly, weaving sky and earth into one. For the Incas, this was no mere design, it was communion. A moment where the temple breathed in rhythm with the cosmos. The traveler steps inside. The air is cool, filled with a hush that feels ancient and watchful. The rounded walls gather sound softly, cradling silence like a vessel. Light filters through the opening above, faint but steady, casting a golden glow across the stone floor. Here, the traveler imagines priests kneeling long ago, their garments of woven cloth trailing upon the ground, hands raised in reverence. They would have welcomed the rising sun, offering words of gratitude for warmth, harvest, and life itself. The temple was not simply a structure, but a bridge between the people and the heavens they honored. The stones seemed to hold those echoes. Still, each surface radiates quiet strength, as though it remembers the countless mornings when light entered and prayers rose. The traveler places a hand against the wall. The stone feels cool, yet beneath its stillness lies a subtle energy, a reminder of devotion carved into its very shape. Outside, the mountains watch closely. Their shadows stretch across the terraces, shifting as the sun climbs higher. The temple rests within their embrace, protected, elevated, yet always connected to the sky. In its silence, the temple of the sun speaks not in words, but in calm, in the rhythm of light and stone, in the softness of stillness itself. The traveler lingers, breathing deeply. In this sacred space, the mind grows quiet, the body light, the heart steady. To stand here is to feel time pause, to sense the presence of something eternal. When at last they step outside again, the city seems softer, brighter, as though touched by the memory of the sun's embrace. From the temple of the sun, the traveler follows a winding path that rises gently upward. The air grows cooler, touched with the scent of stone and moss. Before long, the trail opens into a quiet space, and there it rests, the sacred rock, a great stone monument shaped by time and intention. The rock stands tall, smooth along its edges, broad across its face. It appears less like an object and more like a mirror of the peaks themselves, as though the builders sought to capture the spirit of the landscape in stone. The traveler approaches with slow, measured steps. A hush settles over the place, deeper than the silence of the plaza, gentler than the stillness of the temple. Here, the mountain and the city seem to meet, woven together in a single presence. The surface of the stone glows faintly in the light. Its texture is cool, yet it radiates a quiet energy, as though it gathers the breath of the earth beneath. Once, ceremonies may have taken place before it. Priests could have stood here, voices rising softly into the air, their words carried like threads toward the mountains. For the Incas, this was not just rock, but spiritan anchor between the human and the divine. The traveler places a hand near its edge. The stone hums softly beneath the skin, not with sound, but with a sensation of stillness, as if it holds centuries of silence within. The mountains beyond seem to bow slightly in agreement, their peaks rising like guardians around the site. A breeze drifts through, stirring the grass at the base of the stone. The traveler closes their eyes, listening not for words, but for the rhythm of presence, for the gentle heartbeat of a place honored across ages. When the eyes open again, the world feels steadier. The sacred rock does not move, yet it gives a sense of grounding, of connection, both upward and downward, to sky and to earth. In its presence, the traveler feels small yet whole, like a single breath within the vastness of the Andes. The moment stretches, soft and unbroken, before the path calls again. With one last glance, the traveler steps away, carrying the quiet strength of the sacred rock into the journey ahead, leaving the sacred rock behind. City. The air here feels heavier with memory, as though the stones themselves recall whispered prayers and solemn rituals. Soon they arrive before a structure known as the House of the High Priest. The building rests upon a broad terrace, its walls fitted with precision. Though time has weathered its surface, the strength of its design remains clear. The traveler pauses at its threshold, feeling a hush deepen, as though entering the shadow of wisdom long preserved. Within, the chamber opens with simplicity. No grand carvings, no lavish adornments, solely the perfection of stone, each block resting seamlessly upon the next. The quiet speaks louder than decoration. It is the stillness of thought, the calm of devotion, the silence where voices once rose in careful chant. Here, the high priest would have dwelled, guiding ceremonies that bound the city to the gods of sky, sun, and mountain. With each dawn, perhaps he stood before the temple, reading the patterns of light and shadow, telling the people what the heavens revealed. His presence was not of command, but of connection, a living bridge between the mortal and the divine. The traveler steps further in, brushing a hand along the wall. The stone feels cool and smooth, its surface holding the touch of centuries. In the center lies a faint depression, as though once used for offering small gifts of grain, coca leaves, or water carried from sacred springs. A beam of sunlight slips gently through a narrow opening, painting a pale stripe across the floor. Dust glimmers in its path, turning the air into a quiet stream of light. The traveler watches as the beam shifts with the passing hour, imagining how the priest once measured time not by clocks, but by the slow dance of the sun across stone. The chamber seems to listen. The walls, the floor, even the air itself holds the memory of devotion, of voices lowered in reverence. Is no weight of history, only a deep calm, as if the wisdom that once lived here still lingers in silence. With quiet steps, the traveler leaves the chamber, carrying with them a sense of balance and gentle steadiness from the priest's dwelling. The traveler follows a wide stone path that leads toward a grander quarter of the city. The air shifts lighter, touched with a sense of dignity. Before them rises the emperor's palace, a cluster of finely crafted structures set apart by their refinement. The walls stand higher here, built with the most precise stones, each block pressed so closely to its neighbor that not even a blade of grass could slip between them. The very symmetry of the palace speaks of order, of patience, of reverence for craft. It is not an extravagant place, but it carries the quiet authority of a ruler who belonged as much to the mountains as to his people. The traveler steps through an open doorway into a courtyard, broad and serene. The ground is paved with smoothed stones, worn by centuries yet steady beneath the feet. Around the edges, Narrow channels guide water softly along the stone, an echo of the rivers flowing far below in the valley. Within the chambers, light falls gently through small windows, creating patterns of gold and shadow upon the walls. Here, the emperor may have sat in contemplation, listening to the voices of advisors, priests, and messengers who traveled the vast empire. The rooms are spacious but not lavish, their simplicity lending them a sense of balance, as though true strength lay not in abundance, but in harmony. The traveler imagines the quiet life once lived here, meals of maize and potatoes, conversations beneath firelight, and moments when the emperor gazed through the openings toward the mountains, seeking wisdom in their eternal stillness. This was not a place of indulgence, but of calm authority, where each decision echoed across the empire like the steady beat of a drum. The palace feels gentle now, its walls softened by silence. A bird calls faintly outside, its song carried in through the open air. The sound lingers within the chamber, blending with the rhythm of the traveler's breath. For a moment, the space becomes more than stone, it becomes a living memory of leadership. Valley stretching far below. Clouds drift slowly across the peaks, wrapping the mountains in soft veils. Standing within the palace, the traveler senses how the emperor must have felt small before the mountains, yet bound to them, as though his rule was not over the land but alongside it. With one last quiet breath, the traveler steps away, leaving the palace behind. Its calm presence stays with them, like the soft trace of a hand resting gently upon the shoulder. Leaving the palace behind, the traveler hears the gentle murmur of water weaving its way through stone. Following the sound, they soon arrive at one of the most graceful marvels of the city, the fountain stairway. Here, a series of carved channels carries water from a mountain spring, guiding it carefully down through tier after tier of stone fountains. Each level overflows softly into the next, creating a gentle cascade that sings like a lullaby. The rhythm is unbroken, steady, and calm, as if the mountain itself breathes through this quiet stream. The traveler pauses before the uppermost fountain. The basin is small and smooth, worn by centuries of flowing water. Droplets sparkle in the soft light, catching the sun as they fall. It feels as though the fountain is alive in endless pulse, steady and eternal. In Inca times, this stairway was not simply for drinking or washing. It carried sacred meaning, a symbol of life flowing from the heart of the mountains to the people below. Each fountain may have served a purpose, some for ritual cleansing. The air is cool and damp, the freshness of spring water. Fingers trail across the smooth stone, following the course of the channels where water has run unceasingly for centuries. The sound is soft, yet it fills the space more deeply than silence ever could at one basin. The traveler kneels and leans close. The water is crystal clear, reflecting the sky above. For a moment, the reflection ripples, breaking into fragments of light before settling once more. It feels as if the fountain holds both earth and sky within its flow, binding them together in one eternal movement. Around the stairway, the terraces rise gently, draped with green grass. A few llamas wander nearby, their quiet steps blending with the song of the fountains. The city feels alive here, sustained by the whisper of water. It is the music of patience, the voice of the mountain speaking softly to those who pause long enough to hear. When the eyes open again, the stairway seems even more luminous, as though water carries not only life, but light itself. With slow steps, the traveler descends to the final fountain, watching the last stream spill gently into the earth. Then, with a quiet breath, they move on, carrying with them the sound of flowing water, steady and eternal. Beyond the stairway of fountains, the traveler steps out into a wide expanse where the mountain itself seems sculpted into harmony with human hands. These are the terraces of abundance, broad steps carved into the slopes, their lines curving gently along the natural shape of the land. Each terrace is bordered with stone walls, stacked neatly with the same precision seen throughout the city. It is here that the people of Machu Picchu nurtured maize, potatoes, and quinoa, the foods that sustained both body and spirit. The terraces stretch downward, one after another, until they vanish into the mist below. The slopes from erosion, gathering rain, and guiding water where it was needed most. The traveler walks along the edge of one terrace, the earth soft beneath their feet. A faint breeze stirs the grasses, carrying the scent of soil and stone, a reminder of the patient labor that once shaped this place. With every step, the terraces whisper stories of farmers tending the land with care, their days marked not by haste but by the slow rhythm of seasons. Pausing, the traveler gazes across the expanse. The terraces create a natural amphitheater, as if the mountain itself has become a stage, alive, not merely a ground to walk upon, but a partner in life, a living presence that gave and received with equal grace. Llamas graze quietly nearby, their soft movements blending with the stillness. Their presence feels timeless, as though they are guardians of these green steppes. Watching over them century after century, the traveler kneels to touch the stones that hold the terrace walls. They are cool and steady, a reminder that strength does not always need grandeur. Sometimes it is patience, balance, and care that endure the longest. Looking outward once more, the terraces seem endless. They are not just fields of food, but layers of memory carved into the mountain with devotion. Even now, long after their builders have gone, they remain living symbols of abundance, harmony, and resilience. With a calm heart, the traveler continues forward, carrying the quiet strength of the terraces within their breath. From the terraces, the traveler ascends once more toward the upper heart of the city, where sacred walls rise in curved harmony. Soon they reach a place unlike any other in Machu Picchu, Temple of the Sun. Its walls are of smooth, finely polished stone, each block fitted so perfectly that not even a whisper of air passes between them. Buildings, the temple curves gracefully, a half circle of stone that embraces both earth and sky. Within, a great stone altar rests, bathed in gentle light. Here, priests once honored Inca, the sun god, offering prayers at dawn when the first rays touched the horizon. The traveler imagines how each solstice and equinox turned this temple into a celestial instrument, the rising sun aligning perfectly with its windows, filling the chamber with golden fire. Stepping softly inside, the traveler feels a hush descend. The air carries a faint warmth, as though the memory of countless dawns lingers within these stones. Feels like the mountain itself was carved for this single purpose. The traveler runs a hand along the wall, smooth and cool, shaped by ancient artisans who worked not only with stone but with intention. Each curve, each angle was guided by the movement of the heavens, so that the temple became a bridge between the earthly world and the eternal one above. Outside the temple, below its curved wall, lies a chamber carved directly into the rock. Some say it was a royal mausoleum, others that it was a sacred cave. Whatever its purpose, it feels like the earth itself is part of this temple union, of stone rising to the sun and stone rooted deep within the mountain. The traveler stands quietly, letting the silence flow through them. As they step back out, the sky stretches wide above, filled with drifting clouds. The temple of the sun remains behind, quiet, perfect, timeless, its stones glowing softly. Traveler follows a winding path that opens into a quiet clearing. At its center rests a great monolith, standing upright and resolute, known as the sacred rock. It is enormous, taller than a person and broad across its face, yet its shape feels more than accidental. Its form mirrors the peaks that rise behind it, as though it were carved to reflect the very mountain spirits themselves. The Inca saw the landscape not just as backdrop, but as a living presence. It seems both natural and intentional, as if the earth had offered up a piece of itself to be honored. This was no ordinary stone. The sacred rock served as a gathering place, a site for ceremonies, and perhaps for readings of the stars. It is said that priests would stand before it, raising their voices in chants that echoed against the mountain walls, uniting earth, sky, and spirit in one resonance. Standing quietly before it, the traveler feels a hush settle upon the air. Even the birds in the distance seem to soften their calls, as if unwilling to disturb the silence. There is a sense of balance, here movable strength in the stone, fleeting motion in the clouds, and in between, the presence of human hearts that once sought harmony in this place. The traveler lays a hand upon its surface. The rock is cool, steady, timeless. For a moment, it feels as if the mountain itself is breathing through this single stone, exhaling calm into the stillness. Stepping back, the traveler sees how the sacred rock stands like a guardian, facing outward toward the peaks. It is a silent witness to centuries of change, yet it is never moved, never faltered, letting the quiet strength of the sacred rock seep into their thoughts. In its presence, all worries dissolve, leaving only calm and a sense of belonging within the greater whole of earth and sky. Leaving the silent majesty of the sacred rock, the traveler follows a narrow stone path that climbs gently toward a cluster of finely built structures. Among them stands a dwelling known as the House of the High Priest, a place where wisdom once guided rituals and decisions for the people of Machu Picchu. The walls are carefully crafted, their stones fitted with the same precision seen in temples, though more intimate in scale. A small doorway opens inward, leading into chambers where the air feels still, as if it has been listening for centuries. Inside, the traveler imagines the priest at his work, preparing offerings, studying the heavens through the narrow slits of stone windows, and keeping the sacred calendar that ordered the rhythm of life. Here, prayers would have been whispered, herbs burned in ritual fires. The traveler envisions the priest moving with calm certainty, each gesture part of a cycle meant not for himself, but for the harmony of all who lived in the city. Though centuries have passed, the dwelling still radiates an air of contemplation. The light that enters through the doorway is soft, filling the interior with a glow that feels both warm and solemn, as if the walls themselves remember the songs. Stepping back outside, the traveler takes in the view. From here, the mountains stretch wide and endless, their slopes cloaked in green, to the sun, moon, and stars, but to the breath of the mountain itself. The traveler pauses, letting the sense of calm deepen. This was no ordinary home, it was a sanctuary of wisdom, a place where devotion shaped each day. Beyond the priest's dwelling, the path widens into an area of elegance and quiet grandeur. Here rises the emperor's palace, the residence of the Inca ruler who once walked these heights. Though weathered by time, the palace still carries the dignity of power balanced with grace. The walls are built from some of the finest stonework in Machu Picchu, smooth, carefully cut, and perfectly aligned. Wide doorways open into a series of connected rooms, each one positioned to catch both sunlight and the view of the valleys below. The traveler steps across the threshold. Inside, the chambers feel spacious compared to the modest dwellings elsewhere in the city. Here, the ruler would have lived not just as a man, but as a bridge between the people and the divine. His presence carried the weight of both earthly leadership and sacred duty. A central courtyard lies open to the sky, its stones warmed by the sun. Perhaps it once held gatherings, moments where advisors spoke softly and the emperor listened with steady calm. The traveler imagines robes of fine cloth, golden ornaments shimmering in the light, and voices discussing the cycles of the heavens and the well-being of the empire. Even now, in its quiet abandonment, the palace whispers of those moments. A breeze drifts through, carrying the faint scent of moss and wildflowers from the terraces. Sunlight plays across the walls, gilding the stone with soft brilliance. From the palace's edge, the view is breathtaking. The traveler gazes over the rolling peaks where clouds drift lazily in endless procession. Standing there, it is easy to see why the emperor might have chosen this place, a throne among mountains, a dwelling where the earth itself felt like an empire, though no throne remains, and no royal footsteps echo here now. The palace is not empty. It holds within its stones the memory of a life lived in balance between majesty and humility, between the power of rule and the reverence of nature. The traveler lingers in silence, imagining the emperor standing here centuries ago, his gaze fixed on the same mountains, the same drifting sky. Time shifts, and for a moment, ruler and traveler seem to share the same horizon. From the emperor's palace, a pathway curves toward a series of terraces, unlike the rest. These are not for crops, nor for daily labor, but for beauty and reflection, the royal gardens of Machu Picchu. The traveler descends gently along the steps, arriving at a space where stone meets green in perfect harmony. Terraces unfold like quiet balconies, their edges softened by grass and flowers that have returned through the centuries. It is easy to imagine them once filled with vibrant blossoms, aromatic herbs, and carefully chosen plants that delighted the senses. Here, the emperor and his household would walk in the cool of morning or under the glow of afternoon sun. The gardens were not only a retreat, but a sanctuary for the spirit. Among the terraces, one could listen to the murmur of the wind, the call of distant birds, and the steady pulse of the earth. The traveler envisions attendants tending to rare plants, watering them from clay vessels, arranging flowers in patterns of color and form. Each plant may have carried meaning, medicinal, spiritual, or symbolic. To walk among them would have been to step into a living tapestry woven from nature itself. At the center of one terrace lies a simple stone seat. The traveler imagines the emperor resting there, gazing across the mountains while the gardens bloomed. At his feet, for a ruler, this was a place not of command, but of stillness, where thoughts softened and spirit found peace. Today, the gardens have grown wild, but their essence lingers. The grass sways gently in the breeze, and tiny flowers bloom between cracks in the stone. Nature has reclaimed the terraces, yet in doing so, it has preserved the spirit of the place. The gardens remain a sanctuary, perhaps even more so now, touched only by the sky and the mountain winds. The traveler lingers among the terraces, allowing the quiet beauty to wash over them. Visitors are invited into the same serenity, the same timeless calm from the gardens. The traveler follows a stone channel that glimmers faintly in the sunlight. It leads to a series of carved basins known as the ritual baths of Machu Picchu. Here, water flows with a quiet, eternal rhythm, cascading gently from one pool to another. The stonework is masterful channels cut with precision. The traveler kneels beside the first pool and listens. The water murmurs softly, its sound blending with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. These baths were not merely for cleansing the body, and nobles prepared themselves for ceremonies, washing away the dust of daily life before stepping into ritual. The flow of water was seen as a blessing from the mountains, a bridge between the earth and the heavens. The traveler imagines an Inca priest standing here centuries ago, his hands cupping cool water, droplets shining in the morning sun. Each movement would have been deliberate, a meditation in itself. Cleansing here meant not just purity of skin, but purity of spirit, an offering of readiness to the gods. As the traveler leans closer, the water reflects their face, framed by the blue sky above. It is easy to feel the same reverence that once guided those who came before. The gentle current seems to whisper of renewal, of letting go, of finding balance once more. Stepping back, the traveler notices how the baths are arranged in a flowing sequence, as if designed to remind all who enter that life itself is a cycle, beginning, flowing, returning. The water never lingers. It moves onward, always fresh, always alive in this place. Time feels slower, calmer. The traveler breathes deeply, allowing the cool air to fill their chest, imagining the serenity felt by those who stood here long ago. Though the rituals have faded, the essence remains. Water as a gift, water as life, water as peace. From the flowing waters of the ritual baths, the traveler climbs toward a structure of quiet grandeur, the Temple of the Three Windows. Standing upon a raised platform, it faces the sunrise. Its three great trapezoidal windows cut with perfect precision into massive stone walls. The traveler pauses at the threshold. Light filters through the openings, filling the chamber with a soft golden glow. Each window frames a different view. One reveals the distant valley, another the endless ridges of the Andes, and the third the wide sky above. Together, they form a vision of earth, heavens, and the world beyond. Historians say the temple may have represented the three realms of Inca belief: the world above, the world of the living, and the world below. In the way the light shifts across the stone, reminding all who enter of their place within a greater design inside. The walls are smooth, carefully fitted, their stones locked together without mortar. The air feels hushed, as though carrying the weight of ancient ceremonies. Perhaps priests once stood here, chanting prayers at dawn, their voices lifted as the sun rose through the eastern window. The traveler imagines the first light of morning striking the temple, igniting the chamber with brilliance. Have spilled through the three windows, touching the floor like pathways of radiance. For those who gathered here, it must have felt as if the gods themselves had reached into the room. Standing in the temple now, centuries later, the traveler feels both small and infinite. The mountains stretch beyond, their slopes kissed by drifting clouds, while the light through the windows holds the space in gentle stillness. It is a place not of noise, but of presence. The traveler lingers, leaning against the cool stone, gazing through each opening as if they were portals to different worlds. The temple whispers of mystery, of devotion, of the endless search for meaning beneath the vast Andean sky. Leaving the temple behind, the traveler follows a sloping path that opens suddenly into a broad, sunlit space, the main plaza of Machu Picchu. It stretches wide between the sacred and residential sectors, a grassy expanse that still feels alive, with echoes of the past. Here, the traveler pauses to take in the panorama. To one side, stone terraces rise in orderly steps, their lines guiding the eye upward toward the peaks. To the other, clusters of buildings gather close together, their walls whispering of voices long gone. The plaza itself lies calm and open, like a great breathing space at the center of the citadel. In ancient times, this was where people gathered. Nobles and commoners alike would have crossed this ground, meeting for ceremonies, festivals, and perhaps even quiet conversations beneath the mountain sun. The traveler imagines the sounds that once filled the air, the rhythm of flutes, the steady beat of drums, and the mingling laughter of families. The grassy field rolls gently, touched by the wind. At its edges, stone steps descend into smaller terraces, creating natural seating, as though the mountains themselves formed an amphitheater. The plaza was not just a gathering place, it was a stage upon which the life of the city unfolded. As the traveler walks across its surface, each step feels lighter, as though the ground itself remembers the energy of celebration. One can almost see dancers moving in circles, their bright woven garments shimmering in sunlight, while priests lift offerings of coca leaves or maize to the sky. And yet, despite its lively history, the plaza now feels profoundly peaceful. Birds flit overhead, and the grass sways gently. The traveler sits upon a stone at the plaza's edge, gazing outward at the endless mountains, and feels embraced by both silence and memory. It is the kind of place where time slows. The plaza remains, as it always has, a meeting ground between people, between earth and sky, between the sacred and the everyday, a wide open heart in the middle of the citadel, still beating softly against the Andean winds. At the far edge of the plaza, where the path narrows and the mountains seem to lean closer, the traveler discovers a great monolith, a sacred rock. It rises taller than a person, its surface smoothed and shaped, yet still holding the strength of the mountain from which it came. The traveler steps closer. The stone glimmers faintly in the shifting light, its silhouette said to echo the shape of the distant peak that rises just behind it. Perhaps, the traveler thinks, this was no coincidence, but a deliberate alignment, a way to mirror earth and sky, stone and mountain, spirit and form. In the time of the Incas, the sacred rock was more than a monument. It was a place of connection, where rituals may have been performed to honor the mountains, the apis, sacred spirits who watched over the valleys and villages. Standing before the rock now, the traveler feels the same quiet reverence that once filled this space. The stone's presence is commanding yet gentle. Its edges are carefully carved, but its essence remains that of nature itself, enduring, unshaken, timeless. The traveler places a hand against its cool surface and imagines centuries of pilgrims doing the same, leaving behind silent offerings of hope, gratitude, or prayer. Around the base of the rock, the ground is worn smooth, as though countless feet once circled here in ritual. The traveler pictures a gathering at dusk, people cloaked in woven garments, their faces lit by torchlight, voices lifted toward the heavens. The sacred rock would have stood at the center, a bridge between the living and the unseen. Now all is still. Only the sound of the wind moves around it, whispering through the stone, as though carrying secrets from another age. The traveler lingers, breathing slowly, feeling both grounded and uplifted. The rock is not merely an object, it is a presence, a reminder that the mountains themselves are alive, listening. Eternal dot, when the traveler finally steps back, the sacred rock remains, steady as ever. The traveler follows a winding path that descends into the residential sector of Machu Picchu. Here, the ruins shift in character. Instead of temples or grand ritual spaces, there are clusters of stone houses arranged neatly along narrow lanes. Their walls, though roofless now, once sheltered the hum of daily life. The traveler pauses at one of the doorways. Its stone lintel still stands firm, and stepping across the threshold feels like crossing into another time. Inside, the space is modest, just a single rectangular room, but the traveler imagines it once warmed by a thatched roof of ichu grass, with smoke rising gently from a small hearth. This was the world of families, farmers, attendants, workers, who sustained the citadel's life. Here, children may have played with woven toys, their laughter mingling with the sound of grinding maize. Women spun alpaca wool into fine threads, while men prepared tools for tending the fields and terraces. The traveler senses the gentle rhythm of ordinary lives, each task woven into the greater design of the city, though simple in form. The houses are built with the same care as the temples. Stones fit tightly, resisting centuries of wind and rain. Even the smallest dwelling carries the same respect for craft that defines all of Machu Picchu. These were not just shelters, but places of belonging, bound by community and shared purpose. As the traveler moves along the lane, more houses appear, some connected by stairways, others standing beside small courtyards. The paths are quiet now, but in the mind's eye they come alive, neighbors exchanging greetings, the smell of roasted maize drifting from doorways, children chasing each other through the grassy courtyards as the sun dipped behind the peaks. The residential sector tells a quieter story than temples or sacred rocks. It speaks of humanity, of warmth, of lives lived close to the earth and close to each other. In the silence of the abandoned rooms, the traveler feels their presence, still lingering, soft and enduring as a memory carried by the wind beyond the houses of the residential sector. The traveler enters an area where the stones tell another story, the story of craft and labor. This is the industrial zone, where workshops once rang with the sounds of chisels and the hum of skilled hands at work. Here, the air feels different. The traveler can almost imagine the rhythm of the place long ago. Artisans shaping stone blocks with careful strikes, weavers spinning colorful cloth, potters molding vessels that would carry food and water. Every corner was once alive with the quiet industry that sustained the sacred city above. One section reveals remnants of storage rooms, their walls strong and practical. These were not temples or palaces, but places where goods were prepared and kept, tools, food supplies, woven garments, and perhaps ceremonial objects awaiting their turn to be carried up to the plazas. The traveler kneels beside a broad stone that still bears faint marks of work. It speaks of effort, of patience, of people dedicating long hours to shaping a city that was destined to endure centuries. As the traveler continues, the layout becomes clearer. The industrial zone was organized with the same precision as the sacred areas, to share food before returning to their work. The traveler closes their eyes and imagines the sounds, the steady tapping of stone against stone, the rush of water carried in clay jars, the low murmur of voices speaking in the Quechua tongue. It was not the grand ritual of temples, but the everyday devotion of hands shaping life itself. Even in this practical space, the mountains watch silently, and the mist drifts softly across the stones. The industrial zone, though quieter now, still carries the memory of its workers, the anonymous builders, artisans, and caretakers whose craft remains etched in every wall and pathway of Machu Picchu. The traveler lingers, honoring them in thought. Their names may be lost to time, but their presence endures in every carefully fitted stone, every terrace, every step that still carries a traveler through the citadel's timeless beauty. Leaving the workshops behind, the traveler hears a gentle sound, water trickling, soft as a lullaby. It leads them into the network of fountains and channels that carried life through the city, carved directly into the stone. These channels are works of art as much as they are feats of engineering. Clear mountain water still flows, steady and pure, cascading down from one fountain to the next. Each pool feeds another, forming a graceful stairway of water that winds through Machu Picchu like a silver thread. The traveler pauses beside one fountain, its stone basin smooth with centuries of use. Long ago, priests may have washed their hands here before ceremonies. Families may have drawn their daily water, filling clay jars for cooking and drinking. The fountains were both sacred and practical symbols of purity and gifts of survival. The sound of the water is calming, a constant presence that must once have comforted the inhabitants. Against the backdrop of silent stone walls, the trickle and splash seem like the heartbeat of the city itself. The traveler traces a channel with their fingertips, admiring the precision of its design. The water never falters. It flows with purpose, guided perfectly by stone. It is a reminder that the Incas were not only builders of beauty, but also masters of harmony, living with the land, never against it, As the traveler walks along the path of the channels, they notice how the fountains are placed beside homes, temples, and plazas. Water reached every corner of life, weaving together the sacred and the ordinary, the emperor and the farmer. In the soft mountain light, the fountains sparkle like mirrors. Their reflections shimmer as though carrying whispers of the past. The traveler closes their eyes, listening to the endless stream, and feels as though Machu Picchu itself is speaking in the language of water. Here, where water flows eternal, the city remains alive. Not in voices, not in footsteps, but in the gentle song of stone and stream, still echoing through time. The traveler climbs a gentle rise and finds themselves standing before a structure unlike any other, the Temple of the Three Windows. Its walls, massive and finely fitted, open onto the sacred plaza. But it is the windows' three tall, trapezoidal frames, carved with precision, that draw the traveler's gaze. Through each opening, the mountains are framed like living paintings. One reveals the distant ridges wrapped in clouds, another the valley far below, and the third the proud peak of Machu Picchu, rising against the sky. These windows were more than simple openings. They were portals meant to connect the people with the world beyond stone. Legends say the three windows represent the three realms of Inca belief: Hanan Pasha, the upper world of the gods and stars; K Pasha, the living world of humans; Yuku Pasha, the underworld of ancestors and spirits. The traveler steps closer, running their hand along the cool stone. The blocks fit so perfectly that not even a blade of grass could slide between them. The craftsmanship speaks of reverence, as though this was not just a temple, but a threshold between the earthly and the divine. Kneeling near the center of the chamber, the traveler imagines a gathering long ago. Priests dressed in fine woven cloth, faces painted with sacred colors, lifting their hands to the windows as sunlight poured through, striking the stones in patterns of light and shadow. Perhaps this place was used during solstice rituals, when the rising sun would align perfectly with the windows, linking heaven and earth. Now, the chamber is silent. Only the wind moves softly through the frames, carrying whispers that seem older than time itself. The traveler breathes slowly, feeling the weight of history pressing gently around them, not heavy, but grounding, as though the temple still holds a living spirit. The three windows, wide and tall, gaze out like timeless eyes, watching the mountains and the sky. To stand here is to stand between worlds, suspended in a moment of stillness where the past and present become one. The traveler lingers, letting the calm settle deep into their heart before stepping back into the light of the plaza. The traveler moves deeper into the heart of Machu Picchu, where the stone path curves to reveal a structure of rare beauty, the Temple of the Sun. Unlike the terraces and houses that surround it, this temple stands on a rounded base, its walls curving gracefully. Like the arc of the sky itself, the stones here are some of the finest in the city, fitted with such care that the wall seems to flow like water. At its center lies a small chamber, and above, two trapezoidal windows gaze outward, carefully aligned with the heavens. Through them, the rising sun of the solstices once poured golden light onto the stone altar inside. The traveler pauses at the entrance, imagining the sacred rituals once held here. At dawn, priests would gather in silence as the first rays of light entered the temple. The sun, Inti, was not only a god, but the very heart of Inca life, the bringer of warmth, growth, and guidance. To worship here was to stand at the threshold of the divine. Inside, the traveler finds the altar, a single carved stone, smooth and luminous in the soft light that filters through the windows. It is said that sacrifices of maize, flowers, and precious objects were once placed upon it, offerings of gratitude to the eternal sun. The temple also hides a secret. Beneath its rounded wall lies a small cave, thought to be a place of connection to the underworld, the realm of ancestors. In this way, the temple bridged all three worlds of Inca belief: the heavens above, the living world upon the earth, and the spirit realm below. As the traveler rests in the quiet chamber, a beam of late afternoon light enters through the window, striking the altar in a golden glow. The air feels charged, not with power, but with peace, as though the sun's eternal rhythm still blesses this mountain city. The traveler breathes slowly, bathed in that light, and feels time itself blur. The same sun that touched the stones centuries ago now touches their face, uniting past and present in a single moment of stillness. Beneath the rounded wall of the Temple of the Sun, the traveler discovers an opening carved into the living rock. It is not grand, yet its presence feels solemn, as though it guards something deeply sacred. This chamber is known as the Royal Tuma Place of Honor, where stone, silence, and memory meet. The entrance is framed by carefully worked stone, its surfaces smooth, as if shaped with reverence. Inside, the space is cool and dim, carved directly into the mountain's heart. The air feels heavy, but not oppressive rather. It is like the weight of time itself, resting quietly. Archaeologists have long believed that this was a burial chamber, perhaps reserved for the most revered nobles or priests, though no royal mummies remain here now. One can imagine the chamber centuries ago, draped in textiles, lit by flickering torches, filled with offerings of pottery, shells, and precious metals. meant to guide the soul to the next world. The traveler kneels before the carved altar at the chamber's center, its form resembling a sacred table. The altar is simple, yet carries the presence of ceremony, as though it once held objects of profound meaning, offerings of maize, ornaments of gold, or even the still presence of a departed ruler. Looking upward, the traveler notices how the temple of the sun rests above, directly over this chamber. It is as though the Inca wished to connect the realm of the dead below with the realm of the gods above, uniting earth, underworld, and sky in a single sacred design. The chamber is silent, except for the faint trickle of water from deep within. The sound is steady, like a heartbeat. It soothes the traveler, reminding them that life and death, past and present, all flow together as one eternal river. For a moment, the traveler closes their eyes and feels the stillness embrace them. Though centuries have passed, the chamber remains a sanctuary, a reminder that the Inca carried their reverence for life into death, ensuring that even in silence, the soul was never alone. The traveler rises slowly, carrying that sense of quiet reverence with them as they step back into the mountain light. Emerging from the quiet chamber of the royal tomb, the traveler enters a space that feels entirely different, broad, bright, and filled with air. This is the sacred plaza, the ceremonial heart of Machu Picchu. Here, 3 important temples gather around an open square, forming a place where people once came together to honor the gods. The stones beneath the traveler's feet are smoother here, worn by countless steps of priests, nobles, and pilgrims. The plaza opens wide, allowing the Andes sky to stretch above like an endless canopy. The breeze carries a freshness, lifting the spirit after the still silence of the tomb below. To one side stands the Temple of the 3 Windows, with its finely cut walls and 3 trapezoidal openings. The windows face the sunrise, catching the first light of day as though framing the dawn itself. Each window may have represented one of the 3 worlds in Inca belief: the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Through them, the traveler imagines the priests watching the sun's golden arc paint the mountaintops. Opposite lies the principal temple, with walls that once rose tall and proud, built from massive blocks of stone. Though parts of it lean with age, the presence of the temple remains strong, like the echo of a voice that refuses to fade. Here, offerings would have been made, ceremonies performed, and blessings spoken for the city and its people. Between these temples stretches the open plaza itself, a simple square of earth framed by stone. It is easy to imagine it filled with quiet gatherings, priests chanting, nobles standing in solemn respect. The the sound of flutes and drums rising into the mountain air. The traveler pauses at the center, feeling the harmony of the space above. The condors soar silently, their wings tracing circles in the sky, as if blessing the gathering place with their eternal flight. Though empty now, the plaza still carries the weight of ritual. The traveler closes their eyes and breathes deeply, sensing not only the presence of the gods, but the presence of countless lives who once stood here in awe, their voices rising together in the thin mountain air. The traveler approaches the eastern edge of the sacred plaza, where a wall of finely carved stone rises with quiet strength. Set into this wall are 3 tall, trapezoidal windows, each cut with perfect precision. This is the temple of the 3 windows, one of Machu Picchu's most intriguing and elegant places. The stones are massive, fitted so seamlessly together that not even the edge of a blade could slip between them. Their smooth surfaces shine softly under the sunlight, as if they hold the memory of 1,000 dawns. The windows look out toward the valley, framing the rising sun in the morning, and perhaps, long ago, the stars in the quiet of night standing before them. The traveler feels that the temple was more than just stone. It was a doorway to meaning. The Incas believed in 3 realms: Hinan Pasha, the upper world of gods and sky; K Pasha, the earthly world of humans and living things; and Uku Pasha, the inner world of ancestors and spirits. The 3 windows may have been built as a sacred reminder that all life moves through these realms in balance. The traveler kneels, gazing through each opening in turn. Through the first, they see the rolling peaks of the Andes rising layer upon layer into the horizon. Through the second, they catch the shimmer of the Urubamba River below, winding its silver path like a living vein. Through the third, they see only sky, a canvas of drifting white clouds against blue. Each view feels like a painting left by the hand of nature. It is said that the temple might have also marked the place of origin, a symbolic reminder of the Incas' ancestral beginnings. To stand here is to stand at a point where myth, history, and the natural world all meet. The traveler touches the cold surface of the stone wall, feeling the strength of the mountain captured within. The silence inside the temple is soft, yet charged with presence, as though countless prayers have settled into the walls over time. Lingering a moment longer, the traveler allows the space to fill them with calm before turning toward the next great temple of the plaza. On the western side of the plaza stands the principal temple, once the proud centerpiece of Machu Picchu's ceremonial life. Its stones rise high, immense blocks carefully carved and fitted together, their surfaces weathered yet strong. Though time has shifted parts of its walls, the temple still speaks of greatness, a place where gods were honored with reverence and offerings. The traveler steps slowly across the plaza, feeling the ground grow firmer beneath their feet as they approach. The air here seems different still, as though even the mountain itself holds its breath in respect. The temple's grand wall faces the square, with its towering stones set in a formation that speaks of harmony and order. Inside, the traveler enters a broad, open chamber. Sunlight filters in from above, striking the stone surfaces and casting warm patches of gold across the cool floor. It is easy to imagine how, centuries ago, priests once filled this place with the smoke of incense, the murmur of chants, and the low hum of sacred music rising like prayer. The traveler closes their eyes and imagines the scene. Nobles gathered in solemn silence, priests lifting golden vessels toward the heavens, the fragrance of burning offerings curling into the air. The temple was more than a room of stone, it was a bridge between people and the divine. At the far side, a wall of massive stones rests slightly tilted as though bowed with age. Yet even in its lean, it radiates strength, carrying the memory of countless ceremonies. Here, perhaps offerings were placed on carved altars, maize, chicha, coca leaves, and symbols of life that connected the city with its gods. The traveler rests in the quiet of the chamber, feeling the deep calm it brings. The walls seem to hold echoes, low voices murmuring, footsteps shuffling, the rhythm of rituals now lost to time. Though the people are gone, their devotion remains, etched into the stones. As the traveler steps back into the plaza's sunlight, the grandeur of the temple lingers in their thoughts, like the fading notes of a sacred song. Beside the great temples of the plaza rests a smaller but equally sacred structure, often called the House of the High Priest. Though its walls do not soar as high, their presence is no less important. Here, wisdom once gathered, and the keepers of ritual prepared themselves for sacred duties. The traveler approaches carefully, noticing the precision of its masonry. Each block is placed with the same care as the larger temples, proof that the role of the priest was honored with great respect. The chamber inside is modest, yet its stillness carries a different kind of power, not of grandeur, but of knowledge and quiet authority. Stepping into the doorway, the traveler imagines the life within. Perhaps the high priest lived here in solitude, his days filled with prayer, meditation, and the careful preparation of rituals for the community. He would have studied the skies, observed the cycles of the stars, and interpreted the will of the gods. In the hush of the night, he may have gazed out through narrow openings to chart the moon's path, or to feel the pulse of the sacred mountain. The room smells faintly of stone and moss, But in the traveler's mind, it comes alive with the warmth of flickering torches. They picture clay vessels resting along the walls, filled with offerings or herbs for ceremonies. A small altar might have stood here, a place for sacred objects to be kept safe, hidden from the world outside. The traveler feels the difference between this chamber and the vast principal temple. Here, the energy is more personal, almost secretive, as though the walls themselves guard ancient knowledge. It is a space for listening to the wind, to the mountain, to the quiet voice of the gods. As the traveler steps back out into the sunlight of the plaza, they sense that the house of the high priest was not about power, but about connection between the people, the sacred rituals, and the mysteries of the unseen. At the far northern edge of the city, beyond the plaza and terraced steps, rises the sacred Roca monolith, unlike any other in Machu Picchu. Towering and smooth, it stands as if carved directly from the spirit of the mountain itself. Its shape mirrors the distant peak that looms behind it, a reflection of stone answering stone. The traveler approaches with a gentle hush, sensing that this place was revered as a living presence. The Inca saw mountains not only as landscapes, but as powerful beings, guardians, who watched over the valleys. The sacred rock, with its grand outline and perfect placement, was likely a vessel of their worship, a bridge between city and mountain spirit. The traveler runs their hand across its cool surface. The stone feels ancient and wise, as though it has listened to countless prayers whispered against its face. Centuries ago, pilgrims may have stood here in reverence, offering coca leaves, chants, and gestures of devotion. The ceremonies held at this rock were said to bind the city's people with the surrounding peaks, ensuring harmony and protection. Around the monument lies an open space, carefully cleared, as though designed for gatherings. The traveler imagines a circle of people, their voices rising softly at dawn, their eyes lifting from the monolith to the towering mountain beyond. In this union of stone and sky, they sought balance with the world around them. The air is still, but charged with something quiet and strong. The traveler closes their eyes, listening not for sound, but for presence. It is there in the weight of the stone, in the echo of the mountain, in the silence that carries meaning deeper than words. When the traveler finally steps back, they realize the sacred rock is not only an object, but an anchor tying the city to the very soul of the Andes. It remains here, steadfast and eternal, long after its keepers have vanished, waiting for those who seek its quiet power. At the eastern edge of the city lies one of Machu Picchu's most extraordinary creations, the Temple of the Condor. Unlike the soaring walls of the main temples, this sanctuary is shaped from nature itself. carved and aligned to resemble the wings of a great bird, the condor, sacred messenger of the heavens. The traveler steps into the space where massive stone slabs rise like outstretched wings. Beneath them, a smooth rock forms the body of the bird, its head clearly shaped at the ground's edge. The condor, in Inca belief, was no mere creature. It was a bridge between earth and sky, carrying prayers from humankind into the world above. The chamber feels alive, as though the bird of stone still waits, ready to take flight at dawn. The traveler imagines priests kneeling here, offering ceremonies to honor the skies. In their mind, the chants echo against the wings of rock, rising upward into the clouds, carried by the spirit of the condor. Nearby niches carved into the walls suggest that offerings may once have been placed here, perhaps feathers, woven cloth, or precious stones. Some believe the temple also served as a place of judgment, where the high priest or ruler would sit, the condor above, as witness to truth. As the traveler gazes upward, the interplay of light and shadow enhances the illusion of wings stretching wide. A shaft of sunlight filters through, striking the stone as though blessing it. The traveler closes their eyes, picturing the condor soaring high over the Andes, its flight eternal, its presence guiding the people below. The space is hushed, yet filled with motion, the unseen beating of wings, the slow breath of a sacred bird carved from mountain stone. The traveler steps back quietly, carrying with them the sense that they have stood in the presence of a guardian, a watcher, and a messenger between worlds. Beyond the temples and terraces, the traveler comes upon a graceful cascade of stone basins, known as the Fountain Stairway. Here, the Inca mastery of water shines in quiet brilliance. A series of channels carved with precision guides the mountain's pure spring water, allowing it to flow from basin to basin, each one overflowing gently into the next. The traveler kneels by the first fountain, listening to the gentle splash. As the water spills over polished stone, the sound is soft and steady, like a heartbeat within the city. Long ago, this stairway of fountains may have quenched the thirst of priests and nobles, its waters considered sacred, drawn from the mountain's very soul. Each basin is carefully shaped, catching the light as if it were liquid gold. The traveler trails their fingers through the cool stream, feeling its freshness against the skin. It is not just water, but a blessing, a gift of the earth to sustain life in this high place. The traveler imagines rituals, here priests purifying themselves. Before entering temples, children laughing as they splashed their faces, weary travelers pausing to drink. Water, so simple, was revered as a sacred force, a link between the heavens' rains and the earth's fertility. Step by step, the traveler follows the flow downward. Each fountain whispers in rhythm, a melody composed of patience and time. The sound is calming, wrapping the traveler in a lull of continuity, a reminder that life here was not rushed, but lived in harmony with nature's quiet gifts. When the traveler reaches the final basin, they pause. The song of water lingers, steady and eternal, a hymn carried through stone. It seems to promise that as long as the mountains stand, the streams will flow, and the city will remember, spreading across the mountainside like giant stairways too. The sky are the terraces of Machu Picchu. These long, stone-edged steps cling to the slopes, layer upon layer, each filled with fertile soil brought up from the valleys below. They are not only beautiful, they are the reason this sacred city could live and breathe. The traveler gazes upon them, endless in number, each tier shaped with precision to both grow crops and guard against erosion. It is said that these terraces, though carved from stone, were tender gardens of life. Here the Inca grew maize, potatoes, and medicinal plants, their roots nourished by soil carefully chosen, their growth watched with reverence. Walking along one of the terraces, the traveler feels the soft earth beneath their feet. They imagine young hands planting seeds, women tending to the harvest, and laughter carried by the mountain winds. These steps were more than farmland. They were offerings of gratitude to the earth. Each terrace a promise of survival. Looking up, the terraces shimmer in the afternoon sun, like green ribbons draped around the mountain's shoulders. They follow the natural curve of the land, not forced against it, but shaped in harmony, blending humanity's touch with nature's form. The traveler pauses to listen. Birds flit between the terraces, their calls mingling with the gentle hum of wind. In the quiet, the terraces themselves seem to breathe the slow exhale of abundance, a rhythm of planting and harvest, of patience and reward. As the traveler descends to the lower levels, they sense that these terraces were not only practical but spiritual. To farm at such heights was to trust the gods, to believe that the mountain would nurture life. Each green step remains as a hymn to that faith, perched above the terraces. At the edge of a sloping field stands the guardhouser, simple yet commanding structure of 3 walls and a thatched roof. Though modest in design, it held great importance, for from this high vantage point, watchmen once kept careful eyes upon all who entered and left the sacred city. The traveler steps onto the grassy rise before it, where llamas now graze quietly, their presence adding to the stillness of the place. The guardhouse overlooks the main gateway, and its wide windows open to sweeping views of valleys below, mountains rising, and the winding trails that connect Machu Picchu to the outside world. Here, The traveler imagines the sentinels of long ago, wrapped in cloaks, their eyes sharp as condors. They stood watch through sun and storm, not only guarding against danger, but also welcoming pilgrims, dignitaries, and weary travelers who approached the sacred sanctuary. From this high place, the entire city can be seen, the central plaza, the temples, the flowing stairway of fountains, and the endless terraces embracing the slopes. The view is breathtaking, as if the whole of Machu Picchu unfolds like an open hand. The traveler feels both small and safe, watched over by those who once stood here. The breeze is steady, carrying scents of grass and stone. The traveler sits for a while within the guardhouse, gazing out as the watchman once did. Clouds drift slowly by, their shadows crawling over the mountains, turning the valleys into shifting seas of light and shade. In this moment, the traveler feels what the guardians must have felt, a mixture of duty, reverence, and awe. To watch over Machu Picchu was not merely a task, it was a privilege, a silent bond with the city itself. When the traveler finally rises to leave, they carry with them the watchman's view, a vision of Machu Picchu as a whole, alive and eternal, a jewel upon the mountain's crown. In the very center of Machu Picchu lies a great open space, the central plaza. Unlike the carefully walled temples or the stepped terraces, this plaza is broad and unbroken, a stretch of green where people once gathered under the sky. The traveler walks upon the grass, feeling the openness around them. Here, ceremonies may have been held, rituals performed, and voices raised in song and chant. It was the meeting place of the city, where the sacred and the ordinary touched. On one side of the plaza rise the noble temples, their stones fitted with care and reverence. On the other side stand the homes and halls of daily life, simple and sturdy. Between them, this wide breathing space seems to join both worlds together, the divine and the human, the spiritual and the practical. The traveler pauses, imagining festivals unfolding long ago. Llamas decorated with bright cloth may have walked across this ground, while priests lifted their hands in prayer to the sun. Families might have gathered here as well, sharing food, stories, and laughter beneath the clear mountain air. Now the plaza is silent, covered in soft grass, its openness a contrast to the intricate stone walls that surround it. The wind drifts gently, carrying the scent of earth and sky. The traveler stands at its center, arms outstretched, as though to feel the heartbeat of Machu Picchu radiating outward in this stillness. The plaza seems more than empty space, is a pause, a breath held by the city. It allows the traveler to rest in its calm, as if the ground itself whispers, all is in balance, all is whole. The traveler moves slowly across, sensing that, though the rituals have long faded, the energy of gathering remains. It lingers in the silence, waiting, timeless, as if the city remembers. At the edge of the city, nestled among terraces and cliffs, the traveler finds the temple of the condor once more. Its stone wings stretch wide across the ground, carved to mirror the condor in flight, the messenger between earth and sky. The structure is a masterpiece of both art and faith, merging the natural rock with human hands in perfect harmony. The traveler steps forward, carefully tracing the outlines of the condor's wings with their gaze. The body is a smooth, solid stone, and the head, carved with precise angles, gazes ever outward. This was not merely a sculpture, was a living symbol, a spiritual bridge connecting the people of Machu Picchu to the heavens. Long ago, priests would have conducted rituals here, honoring the sky and the mountains, asking for guidance and protection. The condor, sacred in Inca belief, carried their prayers to the sun and the gods, soaring effortlessly beyond the peaks. The traveler imagines these ceremonies unfolding in silence and devotion, the mountains listening, the wind carrying each word far and wide. The light falls softly on the wings, casting shadows that stretch like echoes across the terraces below. The traveler senses a pulse in the space not of the city's buildings, but of the spirit that shaped them. The condor remains as an eternal guardian, its stone feathers frozen in mid-flight, yet somehow alive with intention. Standing in the center of the temple, the traveler breathes slowly, absorbing the calm and wisdom of the place. Time seems to blur the past and present, coexisting as one. Here, amidst the terraces, fountains, and sacred rocks, the city whispers its secrets of devotion, harmony, and the eternal rhythm of life among the Andes. As the traveler turns to leave, the condor's silent wings seem to follow, a reminder that the spirit of Machu Picchu soars beyond stone, beyond mountains, beyond time itself. The traveler approaches a raised platform near the highest terraces, where a single mysterious stone catches the sun. This is the Intihuatana stone, the hitching post of the sun, carved with precision and sacred intent. Its smooth surfaces and angles seem to hold the rhythm of the sun itself, standing before it. The traveler notices how the stone aligns perfectly with the sun during solstices. Long ago, priests would have observed its shadow, marking time and guiding agricultural cycles. The Intihuatana was both a calendar and a spiritual anchor, connecting the people to celestial movements above. The stone is quiet now, yet the traveler feels the pulse of countless ceremonies held over centuries. Offerings may have been placed here, flowers, stones, or small gifts to honor the sun. The traveler traces their fingers along its carved edges, imagining the care and reverence poured into every line. From this vantage, the terraces below stretch out like folded green ribbons. The city appears balanced and alive, a perfect harmony of nature and craft. The traveler breathes deeply, sensing the eternal rhythm of sun, stone, and mountain, and the calm that arises from standing in such a sacred space. Tucked into the northern cliffs, partially hidden from view, lies the Temple of the Moon. Unlike the bright temples of the plaza, this sanctuary is shaded, mysterious, and quiet, carved into a natural cave and framed by the mountain's rock. Its walls and alcoves catch the faint light, creating a soft interplay of shadow and silver. The traveler steps inside, feeling the cool air brush against their skin. Long ago, priests and mystics may have gathered here during nights of the full moon, performing rituals that called upon lunar power, divination, and reflection. The temple was a space for contemplation, a retreat where the city's spiritual guardians connected with cycles unseen. Stone steps and carved niches suggest careful design, blending nature and intention. The traveler imagines offerings placed on ledges, small vessels, leaves, or precious stones, each one carrying gratitude and reverence. The walls echo faintly with the imagined whispers of chants carried by the mountain air dot through the caves. Opening moonlight filters in softly, painting silver highlights across rough stone. The traveler leans forward, feeling as though the mountain itself breathes with them, a silent witness to centuries of devotion. Even without people, the temple radiates presence and calm, hidden heartbeat of Machu Picchu. Exiting slowly, the traveler notices the surrounding cliffs bathed in evening light. The Temple of the Moon leaves a lingering sense of mystery and serenity, a quiet reminder that not all sacred places seek the sun. Some draw their power from shadow, reflection, and stillness. Rising above the city, the upper terraces stretch along the mountainside, stepping skyward in calm, green layers. The traveler walks slowly along these paths, each terrace offering a quiet space to pause, breathe, and take in the expansive view of the Andes. The terraces are narrower here, less frequented, and the stones seem to hum with age and purpose. Long ago, these upper terraces may have been used for specialized crops or sacred plants, cared for with attention and devotion. The traveler imagines gardeners moving quietly, their hands tending seedlings, the wind carrying soft whispers of leaves dot from this height. The city below unfolds like a living tapestry, temples, plazas, and fountains all aligned in serene harmony. The mountains beyond rise like guardians, their peaks brushing the clouds. The traveler feels a gentle awe, as though the world itself is pausing to allow a moment of reflection. Small stone walls line the terraces, guiding footsteps and framing views. Llamas graze silently in patches of grass, their calm presence adding to the stillness. Each step upward feels lighter, each breath deeper, as if the mountain itself teaches patience and mindfulness. The traveler pauses at the highest terrace, looking out over valleys shrouded in morning mist and rivers glinting like silver threads. The terraces, carefully constructed centuries ago, are a testament to balance between human craft and nature, work and peace, earth and sky. For a long moment, the traveler simply stands, absorbing the quiet, letting the upper terraces' calm flow through them. The city below hums with the echoes of life, yet up here all is serene, suspended in time. At the southern edge of Machu Picchu, the traveler finds a simple yet solemn structure, the southern gate. Unlike the grand temples, this gate is understated. Single doorway framed with precise stonework, offering both passage and protection. The traveler steps through slowly, noticing how the walls taper slightly, creating a feeling of security and guidance. Long ago, guards may have stood here, welcoming friends, guiding pilgrims, or keeping watch for travelers from afar. The gate was a threshold, marking the transition from the bustling terraces and plazas to quieter, private spaces of the city. From this vantage, the traveler sees the winding trails that lead away from Machu Picchu, paths that disappear into valleys, cliffs, and clouds. The southern gate frames these trails, as if inviting travelers to pause and reflect before stepping out into the world beyond. Nearby, terraces rise gently, and small stone walls guide the way. The traveler imagines people walking through centuries ago, carrying baskets of maize or offerings, pausing briefly at the gate to honor the spirits of the mountains before entering or leaving the city. The air here is cooler, lighter, carrying whispers of wind and distant birds. The traveler rests for a moment, feeling the rhythm of arrivals and departures, the balance of security and openness that this gate represents. It is a reminder that every entrance is also a passage, every threshold a place for reflection. Stepping through the southern gate, the traveler senses the subtle magic of boundaries, not barriers, but invitations to move mindfully from one space to another. Machu Picchu seems alive in every corner, guiding each step with intention and care. Climbing along the northern slopes, the traveler discovers the northeast terraces, a series of stepped gardens that catch the morning sun. These terraces are narrower and less visited, offering a sense of solitude and serenity. Each level is lined with stone retaining walls, holding soil that once nurtured crops and sacred plants alike. The traveler walks slowly, noticing how the terraces follow the mountain's natural curve, blending human craft with the contours of the land. The Inca designed each step carefully, ensuring stability and fertility while harmonizing with the surrounding peaks. Here, the earth itself seems to breathe, rising gently toward the sky. From this vantage, the traveler can see rivers glinting below and distant mountains standing tall in soft haze. Llamas graze quietly along some of the terraces, their calm presence adding to the sense of stillness. The terraces create a rhythm of movement and pause, guiding each step in harmony with the land. The traveler pauses to imagine the life that once filled these terraces. Perhaps families tended the crops in silence. Priests walked quietly in meditation, and children chased one another along the narrow paths, their laughter echoing against stone walls. Every step carried a connection to the mountain, the sun, and the earth beneath their feet. Breathing deeply, the traveler feels the calm of the northeast terraces settle within them. It is a quiet, enduring peace, a reminder that even in lofty heights, life thrives with patience, balance, and care. The southern terraces stretch along the sunlit slopes of Machu Picchu, a series of stepped gardens that cascade down the mountainside. The traveler walks slowly along the narrow paths, each terrace lined with carefully placed stones, holding rich soil and whispering the care of centuries. Here, the terraces seem softer, more intimate, bathed in gentle sunlight. Lush grasses sway with the breeze, and small patches of wildflowers add quiet color to the stone steps. The traveler imagines gardeners long ago tending plants with reverence, feeling the rhythm of earth, sun, and water. From these terraces, the view opens onto the city below and beyond it. The green valleys stretch toward distant mountains. The traveler pauses, breathing in the crisp, cool air, feeling the serenity of heights and the calm of open space. The terraces themselves seem alive, carrying the memory of growth, patience, and careful attention. Small stone walls guide footsteps along the paths, creating pockets of quiet where one can pause and rest. The traveler notices how the terraces allow not just cultivation, but contemplation, a place to feel connected to the mountain, the sky, and the eternal rhythm of nature. As the traveler continues upward, the sunlight warms their face, the soft breeze brushes their cheeks, and the terraces seem to breathe alongside them. Each step is gentle, each pause reflective, carrying the calm and harmony of Machu Picchu's southern terraces deep within. Tucked behind a cluster of terraces and low stone walls. The traveler discovers a hidden fountaina, quiet spring flowing gently from the mountainside. The water spills into a small, carved basin, its surface sparkling softly in the sunlight. The sound is soothing, a delicate melody that blends with the whisper of the wind. The traveler kneels beside the fountain, letting the cool, clear water trickle over their fingers. Long ago, this fountain may have been used by priests or gardeners, a secret source of life hidden away from the busier parts of the city. It is small, unassuming, yet full of quiet importance. Around the fountain, moss clings to stones, and tiny plants lean toward the water. The traveler imagines children laughing as they once played nearby, or priests pausing in meditation, listening to the gentle song of the mountain spring. The hidden fountain feels timeless, as though it has always existed in harmony with the stone and earth around it. The soft murmur of water calms the traveler, each ripple carrying a sense of continuity and peace. Even in solitude, the fountain seems to speak. Life flows steadily, patiently, without hurry, nourishing all who pause to notice, standing and taking a final breath. The traveler leaves the hidden fountain with a sense of quiet renewal. Its gentle presence is a reminder that even small places, tucked away from sight, hold power and serenity, a secret heartbeat within the eternal rhythm of Machu Picchu. At the western boundary of Machu Picchu, the traveler comes upon the western gate, a simple but solemn entryway crafted from stone. The doorway frames the approach to the city, connecting the high terraces with trails that wind through the mountains. The traveler steps through slowly, feeling the cool stone beneath their hands. Long ago, this gate marked the entrance for travelers. Arriving from the sunlit valleys, guards or guides may have welcomed pilgrims here, ensuring safe passage into the sacred city. The gate represents both protection and invitation, a threshold between the outer world and the sacred heart of Machu Picchu. From this vantage, the traveler looks out across the western slopes, where terraces descend gently and distant peaks rise softly into the mist. The gate frames this view perfectly, reminding visitors of the mountain's presence and the city's harmony with its surroundings. The traveler imagines people of the past pausing at the gate, offering gratitude to the mountains or preparing themselves to enter the city's sacred spaces. Even now, standing in the quiet, there is a sense of expectation and welcome, a feeling that every journey into Machu Picchu begins with mindfulness. With a final glance, the traveler moves through the western gate, carrying with them a sense of connection between paths, thresholds, and the eternal rhythm of the mountains. The gate is a silent guardian, inviting reflection with each step forward. Along the northern cliffs of Machu Picchu, the traveler discovers the Watcher's Path, a narrow trail winding along the edge of the terraces. Each step is bordered by carefully placed stones, guiding the way while offering glimpses of the valley and mountains beyond. The path is quiet, almost hidden, allowing the traveler to move in solitude. From here, the city spreads out, plazas, fountains, and terraces, all harmonized with the mountains that cradled them. The trail seems to watch over the city, offering perspective, reflection, and stillness. The traveler pauses frequently, looking down at the Urubamba River, winding below like a silver thread. Mist curls gently around the peaks, softening the lines of terraces and walls. Birds glide silently, their wings brushing the air as if tracing the rhythm of time itself. Long ago, the path may have been used by guards, priests, or travelers seeking vantage points. Today, it offers a chance to slow down, to breathe, and to absorb the harmony of the city. Each step along the Watcher's Path carries the quiet power of observation, seeing without rushing, feeling without judgment. The traveler walks until the sun begins to dip behind distant peaks, casting long shadows over terraces and temples. In this gentle light, the city seems suspended, a place both eternal and fragile, alive with the whispers of history. The Watcher's Path leaves a lingering calm in the traveler's heart, a sense that some journeys are meant to be quiet and reflective at the western edge of the city. The traveler pauses atop a gentle rise, watching as the sun begins its slow descent behind the Andes. The entire city of Machu Picchu glows softly in the golden light. Terraces, temples, and fountains bathed in warmth. The mountains cast long, graceful shadows, and clouds drift lazily over peaks and valleys. The traveler breathes deeply, feeling the rhythm of the city. The mountain and the sky all align in quiet harmony. The fading light illuminates the intricate stonework, revealing the skill, patience, and reverence of those who built this city so many centuries ago. From this vantage, every detail of Machu Picchu seems alive. The terraces whisper of growth and care. The fountains murmur like ancient songs, and the temples glow with a silent presence that endures through time. Even the wind feels gentle, carrying stories and secrets across the highlands. The traveler sits in peaceful reflection, knowing that the city has watched over generations, offering both shelter and inspiration. The sun slowly dips behind the mountains, casting the city in a soft twilight hush. Shadows lengthen, blending stone, grass, and sky into a single tranquil scene. As evening settles, the traveler feels a deep sense of calm, the kind that comes from walking through sacred spaces with mindfulness and reverence. Machu Picchu, eternal and serene, remains a quiet sanctuary, a place where the heart can rest and the mind can drift gently into dreams, with one final glance at the glowing peaks and terraces. The traveler turns and slowly walks away, carrying the serenity, wisdom, and timeless beauty of Machu Picchu deep within.